We just solved
We did it.
sexism. We did it, guys.
We did it, guys.
My beginnings with metal, my ABCs of metal were Alice Cooper, Black Sabbath, Cinderella, and Ronnie James Dio. Summer of '97, my brother and I started Hailstorm. We entered ourselves in a talent show at the Schuylkill County Fair. But we named the band Hailstorm that day because my little brother was being annoying in the family van. Like, he's like, we need to have a band name. I'm like, we're not a band, it's just the two of us. You know, it's like a band is the Beatles and Stones, we need 4 people. But I was like, shut up, what do you want to call it? And he's like, well, I get teased in school, they call me Hailstorm because our last name is Hale. And I said, sure, that'll work for today.
My story is different, coming from Italy, which is a country in which rock and metal has no history. So one evening, a good friend of mine is like, okay, we're going out. I'm going to take you to a place that's a little bit different than usual. And she took me into this metal pub. Back then, I was already singing, but it was in a completely different genre, and I didn't want it to be a job for me. That's where I met Marco and Andrea, my co-singer and the bass player of the band. They already had their own band. And we met that day. I started to hang out in that pub. That's where the band started.
My mom married this guy from Canada, and she moved me and my 2 little brothers up to Vancouver Island, Canada, on the West Coast. And I think just because me and my little brother were really lonely, he and I started making music together, and we made a band together. And I taught him how to play guitar, and then he like very much surpassed me. So again, I was like a late bloomer with metal music too. Like I still explored like the beginnings of metal music, like Black Sabbath and like argue like Led Zeppelin.
Yeah.
But just stuff that was very much more intertwined with like the like blues heavy, like, you know, when you think of like the old Black Sabbath, it's like just very, there's like a parallel with blues. I really feel. Once I was like 19, I basically was kind of at the mercy of my little brother. You know, he started being so much more infatuated with going from us writing more like more like Audio Slave, like Rage Against the Machine riffs, like heavy, but then like starting to explore like a whole new world of bands that opened up to us. And I think one of the reasons was because when I moved to Canada, metal music was treated really differently there. I don't know if it's like this where you're from, but like in Canada, they have to play 30% Canadian content. So you have all these bands that are like crazy, like prog tech death metal bands on our equivalent of like MTV, because they're getting like funding to make music videos, and they're at all these award shows. So these very like obscure bands I was starting to see on TV. Like I didn't have to go out of my way to see them. I was seeing bands like Alexis on Fire and Despised Icon, and all these like really still very, very out there music that was very influential. And me and my little brother just kept making music together. Parallel to that, my husband was doing the same thing in his band, and we grew up in the same place.
Oh, wow.
I read an article one time about Gwen Stefani, and she was saying that she was really bummed out because she like went home from tour and she was broke, and she was 26, and she was so weird to come home to her, you know, where she lived with her parents and have like 4,000 fan letters there, but then like living in her childhood bedroom.
Oh yeah.
And then that's when things popped off for her. And I was like, okay, I'm gonna keep doing this till I'm 26, and I'm gonna drop out of school, and I'm gonna keep trying. And if I don't make it by 26, then I'll leave. Then when I was about 21, I got the craziest opportunity to join this band on Warped Tour called I Wrestled a Bear Once. Because their singer quit during the tour. Oh, God. And so they needed to finish Warped Tour. So I found myself, I was working at Lululemon, and my now manager, because he managed that band, called me and was like, do you want to, you know, the internet brings us all together. And they heard of me. And so, I found myself being on Warped Tour in 2012. And then my husband ended up joining the band. And then we left in 2015, and we took a couple years and we made our own band, and Spirit Box, and like my whole metal journey kind of evolved alongside my career weirdly.
So full disclosure, I've been with my guitar player for 22 years. I've been engaged for 11 years. I have a ring, but we just like That was never like the priority,
yeah.
right? He did it as like a sweet notion on our 10th year, you know. But my brother is in the band, so like the whole term like "don't shit where you eat" or "don't dip thy company pen in thy company ink," I never got that memo. There is something so beautiful about having all these firsts and living your dream out loud with the people that you love, with the person you love, with your heart. It's like that's the most fulfilling thing.
Yeah.
You know, and it's part of the reason why I fought very hard to not have a solo career, despite everyone wanting me to. From an early age, like I remember being 16 in the clubs, and like all these men were like, lose your brother, lose the band, lose your buddies, you should have a solo career, you should be in pop. You should, like, why are you into metal? Why are you into hard rock? Because this music spoke to us, and you should never apologize for being a late bloomer, by the way, because
I like it.
I've always happens a lot. You know,
Yeah,
people
I
like
expect
it.
you like, oh, you're in a metal band.
You should
Well,
know everything.
When did you start to listen to metal? And it's like, it's not a challenge. It's not, you know, I don't have to be faster than you to find out about metal.
Yeah.
I just love this genre,
I think it
as I
makes
love
me-
other kinds of music.
It makes me stronger, I think, because I care so deeply about
yes.
other genres of music and other artists that maybe if I was so obsessed with the aesthetic of metal where there's like this poser culture, maybe I wouldn't have explored those things and been influenced by all these other artists that I love, from like Prince to, you know, my mom's first concert ever was Alice Cooper. So like, you know,
amazing.
like I wonder maybe I'd be a less well-rounded.
It's in your legacy, and
Listener.
it's in your blood. Female strength and females in metal. It's like, think about the strength that a dandelion has growing through concrete in the middle of a Walmart parking lot with no water, no sustenance, but somehow still survives. And that's what we have all done. And by just existing on stage and showing these young women, hey, it's hard, life is tough, but we didn't give up. They can see themselves reflected in us. And I love having all three of us here, because we are all we're from three walks of life. We're kind of down the tier here, but we are the only people, like, and forget about like our boys that are our allies. Yes, they've walked side by side, but nobody will ever truly know what it's like to walk in our shoes but each other. It doesn't matter like what age we are or how early we started or whether we liked Hanson, because I totally did.
Competition.
You know, but it's not a competition. It's you know, it's a summoning. It's you know, it's like
And you
we're
guys
having
did the hard work to all the annoying shit that you've put up with has helped me. I still had to climb, but it was more of a little bunny hop compared to my bunny hop was less hard on me. You know what I mean? And I maybe I do the same. You know, the more I rise up, maybe someone who's making a band 10 years from now will help them.
You do have an element that we didn't have though, and that's social media.
Yeah.
If I had come up in this time with social media, oh my God, I would have gotten in so much trouble. There would be pictures and videos. I would have been canceled way.
It's true. I'm so thankful.
And the comparison, like the body comparison, the unattainable beauty, you are carrying a weight that we didn't have. At the same time, we just had different shackles to us.
Whenever you're in any sort of like, whether it's really a minority or it's like a perceived minority in whatever like field you're trying to go in, I don't think it's just in the creative fields or in music. It's probably like this for anyone, because the general person that is the majority in that world, generally, like, they haven't had to empathize with people that aren't exactly like them. Everything you do is political. Everything that you're doing is some sort of like social commentary. So like your hair color, your nail polish, that's all they can see is you in that other group. It also frustrates them and is annoying to them, because they're like, enough with the lady thing. You're always complaining about being a
It's
lady.
like it's taking away every time you're talking about your appearance just because you're enjoying makeup, or as you said, like, oh, I got new nails.
Yeah, but
this
you know,
is
people
not supposed to take something away from what you do for a living and your job.
And your aesthetic is very, anything like how I'm looking and how we're all looking today can't help but be a political thing, as in like, oh, I chose to dress very feminine, therefore I'm this, or like I chose to not wear makeup for this. It's just like a different experience, and I'm grateful that we all have people in our corner that are there to understand and empathize with us. You're reduced down to your in-group because it's different than their in-group. if you let it overcome you, you can kind of like be gaslit and you feel crazy. You're like, am I talking about this too much? It's just very fascinating to me. I try to look at it more like from like a anthropology standpoint. I'm like, why are we doing this? But again, like I think that you two especially have made it so that it just helps people like have more of an identity or feel like confident that it's good to be talking about this stuff. It helped me, so it'll help hopefully the next person make it a little easier. But I had the tail end of this, but it's probably similar to you, right? Like you winning makes it so that other women don't get to win. Only one woman can be on this tour, otherwise it's a novelty girl tour. You know, like those kind of things, like there can only be one of you.
Amy Lee and I have fought this because, you know, we've gone out many times on tour and we'll take the warning out, which, you know, the warning.
Yeah, they're awesome.
They're amazing. You have to see them live. If you've never seen them live, they attack the stage. But so it would be like all women. And everyone's like, oh yeah.
You did it on purpose.
Like a marketing thing.
You know, marketing thing. Yeah. And it's like, it's not that. It's just that there is it just so happens that the female acts are more interesting and better than most of, you know, of what gets put on our plate for like when we're picking, you know, who opens up for us. To your point about the hurdles that we have to go through. So for me, it was when we were trying to get signed, okay, we love what you do, but we don't know what to do with you because women in rock aren't really a thing right now. And then Amy Lee broke and I was like, see, girls can be in rock. But then after we got signed and we're trying to get our stuff on the radio and they're like, oh, but we've already got one.
Yeah.
We already have Taylor Momsen, or we already have Amy Lee, or we already have Lacuna Coil. You know, like,
yeah, we got
and
one.
so
we only like a bunch of
we already have a token girl for our program and we can't fit you in. And I'm like, there's a lot of guys and nobody's saying the same thing. Oh, we've already got one.
I have had so many people as a compliment to me go, I really don't normally like female vocalists.
I know.
But I think you're good.
I think,
thanks. So my comeback now is I go, cool, I don't like most male vocalists, but, but here we are.
Yeah,
they're playing at this festival. I find that so interesting. I think a lot of the time, the way that any of us get like a compliment from people that maybe aren't very self-aware, the compliment is relative to like an insult to someone else. Like, you're one of the good ones.
Yeah.
That's so crazy to me. It's just so strange that someone would have no self-awareness and like having my gender be like a genre of music and saying that they don't care for it. Not because of the band or the music, they just simply don't care for for a feminine sounding voice, which I find
When I started with the band, it was like the end of the 90s, so there were not so many bands, metal bands with a female in the lineup. And I remember that many times I was going on stage and there was always that guy that would be like, hey, naked, show us what you got, show your boobs, show me. And it was always interesting to see the change along the set, that I could convince that person to at least to shut up and witness that I was able to do my job. And it was very rewarding on one side because I was like, okay, I'm going to make you change your mind. I'm going to focus on you for the show and see things changing to the point that they are today. There is still a lot to be done, but I love to see many women now in the lineup. I love to see at least the 50% at our shows of females coming to the show in a very peaceful and equal environment. I love it. I love it. I would have never thought that it would have become like this. Everybody would ask me, how does it feel? That was the main question. And it almost became a joke because it was just like, how does it feel a woman in a metal band?
How does it feel being a woman?
And I go,
in metal?
It's the same as every other profession
how
you have.
does it feel? It feels that I wake up, I have a coffee with the guys, and I just do my job.
I always say that I say the same thing. I go, it's the same as being a woman in any male-dominated field for your profession. It sucks kind of, and then you just try to do your best.
What I will say, when I was coming up in the scene in Pennsylvania, just like bars, played bars and all the time, and I'd be carrying my guitars, and some guy at the club would always be like, my girlfriend never carries in my equipment. And I'm like, this is my equipment, right? And then there was always, like, I walk in and they'd be like, oh, the merch booth is over there.
Yeah.
Or like, you know, you're the merch girl, you're not in the, I'm like, yeah, I'm in the band. So because this became such a thing, instead of me starting out with the band on stage, I would start in the back of the club or with a hoodie on with my microphone, and I would start a cappella. Nobody would know where the hell it's coming from. And then everyone's like facing the stage, like, what the hell's going on? And then I would go up to people and be just like, hey, it's
Hello.
me.
That's crazy. How did you come up
I'm
with
the
that?
merch girl that you thought, or I was the girlfriend you thought.
Yes.
And, and so it became this almost like, I win, I get the last.
How did you come up with that?
I wanted to have the last word, and I got really
That's
it's like, it's
that's
amazing.
Such a gag. That's
well, it's
crazy.
amazing, like, what unfortunately, what men will never really, the beautiful thing that men will never understand, because they've never had to go through it, is that it takes you being stepped on, you being hidden away, you being chained to something, you being misunderstood so much that you feel that you go through this like phase of like, I'm sad about it, I'm frustrated about it, I'm angry about it. Now what am I going to do about it?
Well, there is a good thing about social medias, and it's the fact that you can finally show what you want on social medias. I remember that I posted a picture with zero makeup, and I was just like, you know what? I want to be free about boundaries. I don't want people to think that I'm always dolled up. I don't want people to think that I'm always feeling beautiful and perfect. And I was just like, I want to show myself in the most normal way. And it was amazing. I got a lot of messages of appreciation, like, thank you so much for showing that we can be cool looking even if we are not putting makeup on, or if we don't have the perfect dress. We always had a fan base that had a lot of women in it. I love it when they tell me we have been inspired by your music, by you showing yourself for who you are. I opened a Twitch channel during the pandemic and started to talk to a lot of girls that were just like sharing their feelings, their opinion. I get a lot of messages from women, not from guys, telling me, how can you feel pretty every day? Like if it's a goal to reach. And I never get messages from guys like, why do I not feel pretty today? What can I do to do that?
We need more of that.
Exactly.
Guys.
And this shows that there is a huge difference, that when women are not feeling pretty, there is a problem. Guys don't care. Guys are getting old and they're getting more fascinating. Yeah. Ladies are aging and they're just like, oh, what's that wrinkle? You put on weight. You should dress according.
Heaven forbid you get like Botox in your forehead to get rid of the what the lines, and then everyone's like, oh, you're getting work done.
You should dress accordingly to
You're
your
too fat.
age.
You're too
And
thin.
it's like,
Yeah.
what do you mean? I don't live life in stages. I don't want to be there at 30, there at 40. You were mentioning like, oh, you're 30 years old, you have to be married with 2 kids. If you're not, there was something weird with you. And it's like, no, we have a different path. Oh, it's because you want to focus on your career. No, it's not because of that. It's because I have a different life. And I love to talk with the younger generations that are following us, telling them that that each one of us has a different life, has different dreams, has different opportunities as well. Because I think that you also have to have a dream that makes sense with who you are. Because I might want to become, I don't know, a Victoria's Secret's angel or a model, but I don't, or a ballerina, but I don't have the characteristics. I can sing, I love to sing, I'm going to pursue this thing, but you have to make the best of your quality and who you are. You don't have to have weird expectations. Just follow your heart, follow your dreams. You guys were mentioning, girls were mentioning how important it is to be surrounded by people you love. For me, it was the same because Marco, our bass player, has been my boyfriend for 10 years and a half. Now he's my brother. I would die for him. We have a different type of relationship. But it's so important to surround yourself with people who are supporting you, understanding your potential.
I just lost about 1,500 followers this week because I've been putting out poetry. And some of it is dark, some of it is deep, and some of it is, I've decided to combat the darkness of this world with my pen and not at a podium, because you can't argue with stupid. And once you start preaching like, woman good, man bad, like that's all they hear, And that's not, and then also, and then your words can be used against you. Whereas through poetry, I'm able to kind of pierce the veil a little bit, and I'm also giving the people that do follow me and that want to be here and sit in this life with me, I'm giving them hope, and I'm giving them, like, maybe offering them, hey, here, we can still have some faith in humanity. People are like, nope, nope, nope. Screw you, and I'm like, you're reading between the lines. It's not me.
How they want you to
poetry.
be.
Nope. It's like whatever they're reading into, that's on them. That's a them problem, not a you problem.
There's way more of us now, though, wouldn't you say?
Yeah.
I never toured very much for most of my life, so go on tours and play all these festivals. I've gotten to meet, and I got to meet you at Sick New World, and it's just different getting to see you, like, being on the side and, like, watching you walk out. Seeing your technique, seeing the crowd. I like to see the crowd.
Isn't it cool? I feel that there
really
is always
amazing.
something to learn. I love to watch other bands and see how what they say, how they interact with each other. I absolutely love it.
Are you
I am an observer.
nerd?
I kind of took a back seat to that because I was kind of traumatized by that early on, because I wanted to learn, but nobody would teach me because, you're just the girl in the band and you don't, whatever. Especially when I started playing guitar, like, it took me forever to know what pedals do because nobody would show me. So it was just like, I would just go to used shops and be like, that looks cool. You almost buy it because it's like a crazy looking thing or like the name. But now that I'm an adult, I'm like, nobody here is going to tell me what not to do or what to do. Yeah. So I'm learning, and
it's completely different. Adding playing an instrument and writing instrumental in any way, completely, that's a whole different dynamic of hurdle to get over. It's really hard for us as the front people of bands, but then it's a whole other level of women that are in bands and they are the instruments. I find that to be even more difficult. It's a whole other community of people not taking you seriously.
Yes, and heaven forbid you say the wrong thing. I'll say the tube screamer does what it actually doesn't do, and that's actually the pog pedal, because we're in the middle of a tour and my brain gets mushy. But heaven forbid you say, oh, that means you're dumb. Oh, you don't know anything about your stuff. Why do you have a Gibson deal? You don't know anything about guitar.
Yeah.
The
compressors.
Oh, the compressors. Oh, the pickups. What pickups? Is this the pickups in here? I don't know. I put them in years ago. Yeah, it's just strange. But we find our way. I have a room in my house that is not shared, and it's part childhood bedroom. I got all my favorite things. I'm using all of my leather jackets as sound baffling for my.
Oh my god!
What's
that's so cool.
That's the most metal thing.
And I've,
yes, that's so cool.
Yeah, I've done
my leather jackets.
pretty much everything since COVID times. All of my duets, my collaborations, I've done in that room. So I actually. So do you guys know Linda Perry?
Yeah,
or at least she is.
Never met her, but I was walking into a studio when she walked out one time, and I went.
She's everybody's big sister, cool big sister. She was always dropping this knowledge, and she said, and we were talking about the state of hard rock and metal, and she said, you know what? It frustrates me is everyone's such a tryhard, but if you are rock and roll, and you are hard rock, and you are metal, you don't have to try. You just
don't have to
exist.
force it.
Yeah.
The three of us sitting here, we are lifers, and we are the embodiment of what metal means. It is a lifestyle. It is the way that we live. It's the way we breathe. It's the way we look at art. Signy. Gel. These are just, I gotta figure it out. This one for me. There's three leading ladies that are coming up right now. One is Emil and the Sniffers. The next is the Lambrini Girls. My third and absolute. You have to always take them out on tour, see them live. The Warning.
For me, I found a band called Dedrick. I found her on Instagram. She appeared on Instagram.
I love it
the algorithm loves me because suggests me
bestowed it upon you
to see. I mean, she's into video games as well, so I got interested. I started to follow her.
Tati from Ginger.
Oh, Tati.
Ginger is they just put out a new album recently. Aside from just being stoked for them and really enjoying listening to them play, I just really, really, really take great pleasure in analyzing the mechanics of how Tati sings and screams, because she just is a master of it.
Yeah.
She sings in such a
Yeah, she's a natural.
a professional, perfect way, like her scream. There's just no limit of like, oh, I have bad technique, so I can't do this whole show like perfectly. Like she just truly is an incredible
I think
vocalist.
she's self-taught as well.
Who cares?
But it's really fascinating to me because I don't scream like that. I really look to her and go, wow, like if I can, I wonder how she does that. I want to find out how she protects her voice.
And it's ever
eventually doing
evolving
that.
because it's like there's this thing like I know with like even like listening to you from the early days, and it's like oh, here's this thing, and then oh wow, she expanded on this and this, and then there's like this like thing that everybody thinks that you are, like that's like your like peak moment or whatever.
Sometimes I feel like I
We'll
sound
have
like
to
the
nerd
guy
out.
from Typo Negative.
That's awesome though. But one of these days we'll have to like sit and nerd out a little bit about vocals. 'Cause I'd love to pick your brains on how you do stuff.
And then of course Poppy.
Yes.
I'm fascinated by vocalists having a vocal journey, you know, like
We were saying like, oh, that's you.
yeah.
my introduction to Poppy was I was watching this like video of her talking to a plant. This is years ago. This is like 6
Poppy's
years ago.
very funny.
And she's amazing.
The industry plant video, right?
Yes, that
I
was
was like,
it.
this is an industry plant.
Yeah.
And this is a regular
So
plant.
fascinating. As far as like advice for these young women, I say stay the course. Don't let anyone tear you apart.
And what you say is so true. Like we should stick together. Too many people think that in between women in the scene there is always catfight.
Like
I've been
competitiveness.
asked so many times
too.
like, oh, did you ever fight? I never had a fight. I always had a good relationship with my colleagues. So there is space for everyone.
Personally, I am so honored to be sitting here with you both and to listen to your stories. I've been having a hard time keeping my tears away this whole time because I just think there's something so powerful about being in both of your presence. And like, you know, before Cristina and I had ever met, I had her CDs and she was such an inspiration to me because I was like, oh good, women can do that when everyone's telling me no. And then, you know, and just to see you come into your own and everybody is cheering you on right now and you're just carrying yourself in such a beautiful way and you're being unapologetically you. We're all passing the torch. That's like, Amy and I were talking about this on our last tour, like the only responsibility we have. We don't have to, we're not gonna save the world. What we get to do is pass the torch. I shouldn't be here with everything that I survived, but I did.
Yeah.
And so that means that there is something bigger, and now I get to say, hey, this is yours. What do you want to do with it? Here's this light.
And we need to be in solidarity
Yes,
with everybody has a hurdle. We got to be a collective of all of us who have been cast out, whether we're women or we're not white, whatever it is, or we're gay or we're trans. Like,
Yeah.
I think having that like coalition of everybody that feels like an outcast within it will make us all be stronger. And, you know, I feel like zero diversity is boring.
Yeah,
So,
absolutely.
you know, you guys, I think that I've seen you impact your fans. It's really satisfying to be able to like say thank you to your faces. It's so weird to think of you all being around for as long as you have and making music because it just feels like talking to you like you're just getting started.
It takes
like
15 years for an overnight success.
Yeah, like you're just getting started. You know what I mean? Like none of you have reached this plateau.
Never.
Like it's so cool. Like, and I don't even just mean commercially, but like commercially, which is amazing, but also just it feels like creatively, which, you know, the commercial parts, I'm sure an amazing feeling that you know you have that too, and you're just getting bigger and bigger and you didn't hit the ceiling.
It is a big honor for me to be here. All the young ladies that are looking at us and as an example, they can find their own way and this will really stand out. So thank you.
We did it.
A woman.
Yeah. We did it. We did it. It's her story. Hi, I'm Courtney.
I'm Lzzy.
I'm Cristina.
Make sure you stream Women of Metal playlist right here on Spotify. Go get it.
Don't listen what your girlfriend says.